welcome to another episode of AI Amigos Show. My name is Marina, and I am here as always with my two good friends, James and Chen Chow. Guys, it's very nice to see you.
Hello, nice to see you
Hello,
guys.
Marina. Hey, everyone.
So today we will have a very interesting topics as always, and we will talk a little bit about reinforcement learning. This is the base, I would say, of AI, and how this amazing technology is evolving. And also the company of the moment is basing the models using reinforcement learning. We're talking about DeepSeek. Jan, you were using DeepSeek for so long now. You were the first one among us actually who came and said, "Oh, come on! Like DeepSeek is actually a good one as well." Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about the differences that you see in these days after all this breakout.
Yeah, the DeepSeek thinking model is really good. I do find it performs Chinese better than English. It has I intend to use answer as Chinese and then convert it to English later on. There are quite different element of it. There's a base model and there's R1 thinking model. The prompt you prepare for them are completely different now. There are two different kind of prompts. We know like OpenAI and stuff, the better the prompt is, the better the answer. But I think using thinking model, especially you leave it all open, it kind of, like we discussed about this as well, James, it kind of become this critical thinking for you. So if find all the elements you might miss. For example, there's a prompt to use. I was looking into all the 10 good prompts. So let's say I wanted to have a party. There's a steps. I have balloons, all that sort of stuff bought. And what could you suggest if I'm gonna fail on this party? What could be the reason? Those are the things, the prompts for like thinking model. It will provide you all those edge cases you never thought about. So give you the kind of like insight.
Well, so for what you tell us, my idea here is I just imagine the agent, right? Because you said, okay, we just write the question and then we leave the agent deciding, what is actually the best way to go. And James, I kind of the boy remembering, like the classes where we saw about the probabilities and we said, okay, here is the fire and here is actually the goal and the agent is here and where it is actually moving, if it goes up, if it goes left, if it goes right, and, all the chances and what was actually the closer way to reach to the main point. And, all the reward and the state function, probably this is also coming to your mind, no?
Kind of, but before I say anything about that, I just don't think it's true. I think Jianchao was number 2 subscriber, not number 1 subscriber. I just want to point that out. Tell me, Jianchao, I'm wrong. Number two, yeah.
Well, maybe he was the number 2 subscriber, but was the number 1 who actually threw it, and said, okay, guys, this one is actually the shit.
It could be. I don't know. Yeah, so going back to the reinforcement learning, just saying there, like, it does create a table with probabilities of actions. And I know, like, when I was working on my master's thesis in regards, I did reinforcement learning for stock trading. And one of the issues that you can have, if you say the reward function is make money, that's, right? So you say, oh, that's what we want to do. And it could figure out that, that the agent says, well, I'm not going to do anything because buy and hold works. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of prod it a bit to say, hey, you need to do some action here, not just sit there. So you got to add more to the reward function than just, profit. You maybe do, something like, as I think I mentioned before, the Sharpe ratio, where you get the expected return divided by the expected volatility. So it tells you for how much, or how much return you're getting for each unit of volatility or risk.
But this is actually just related to the fintech, right? So when we are talking about volatility, etc. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it would be specifically to that. But I mean, and remember, I think one of the big things with reinforcement learning, when you look at the different branches of AI machine learning, is that, you have supervised learning where you have a label where you tell it this is the right answer, wrong answer. You have unsupervised learning, things like BCA clustering, and then you have reinforcement learning. And where we're seeing large advances in models like DeepSeek that are giving better. They're not taking it. I mean, if we look at now sustainability and how much energy consumption, these models, they consume quite a bit. In fact, I think we mentioned this before. There's a stat out there that for every prompt that you put into Gen AI, it's 10 times more energy than a regular Google search prompt. Or
Yes,
not prompt, but search.
we talk about that, but also there was something that you mentioned, James, if I am not wrong, that you said, yeah, but we are not thinking about how much energy we can actually save in the future, like because we will take better
Yeah.
actions. So then it's a kind of balance in there.
Yeah, I mean you would be correct, but what the point in this particular case, as I'm saying, is that if we are training generative models, Gen AI, and it's using it consumes less energy by using reinforcement learning, equally, then that's even better. And that's where I was saying is that we're seeing improvements, and saying, and what's great about that is that we're seeing that these are part of the measurements of the quality of the AI, not just does it give you I wouldn't say the right answer, but gives you good content, and it doesn't hallucinate as much, and equally it uses less energy.
No, I in that sense, I agree 100%. But what we need to think here is that also the data that we are using will give us better results. And this is where all the world of synthetic data and the tons of data that we are using are actually making the model improving. And when we said, okay, the model improve and all these phrases like, okay, garbage in, garbage out, that this is kind of people repeat what they hear. So what we need to understand is that the agent, and we call an agent, but it's actually the machine that we are talking with, right? So then the agent is deciding according to whatever is more suitable for the future answers. So then probably it will not need that much energy in the future. I mean, if it doesn't have to look for that much, or if the answers are actually, and this is what is happening with the pre-trained models.
But there's a two point to this. First, like DeepSeek is a good example because they find out most of they're basically a wrapper. They apply the retrained or some of their stuff, right? But they find out a lot of their data is from OpenAI. You step on, you already start at a different level now. So in terms of why that's the first point. Like later on, the model has the base model there to go on, so they might not need that much training, and then it's a lot of more straightforward road than all the whiny mistake you made. And second is the competition power is changing as well, especially the structure as well. Like I know the news were saying OpenAI thinking about making their own chip. If you remember the Grok,
yes, of course.
They have their own chip to provide for the language model, which is crazy fast. So in the future, all those things will change, I think.
Well, I believe that the world is changing along with AI. I don't really think that AI is isolated, but what I think is that we went back to the basis of AI because people were actually, let's say, amazed by what was happening with the generative text and generative AI and how it works. And there are so many things that are coming up. So, for example, you can use like pre-trained models, so then you fine-tune them. You can create a RAG locally. You can use the Steelers, for example. And still, like the main point or the best results we achieve when we are using reinforcement learning, when the agent is actually learning what we want to see, what we want to see in the answers. And even we see this in OpenAI. Now that you mention OpenAI again, when we are using it, we see like two possible answers. And it said, okay, select like which answer you like better, like answer one or answer two, because they are actually testing what is that we want to train the agent. So the agent is learning by us. And then the chances of giving us similar answers to what we really want to hear,
Yeah.
what we really want to see, will increase. And especially if you just tick, save my data, the memory and stuff, then it happens.
We should collect all the bad ones. Crack
Well, I
garbage
always
in,
have it
garbage
there. I
out.
don't mind. I prefer the machine to knows about me. But I have something funny to tell you about that. So
But
the other day I was just kind of playing with this, and then I talked to ChatGPT and asked, okay, so I cannot sleep. Just tell me a story. And
hmm,
ChatGPT literally described my day. So Marina went to the office. She was talking to very innovative people, and she was doing a lot of networking and delivering a workshop. And after a very long day coming back home, she just sat and started studying for the DASCA certification. Even though she was exhausted, she was really passionate about data science and blah blah blah. And then she went to sleep. And then I was thinking, oh my god, like the machine really knows about my life. There was basically like the feeling, but this is the role of the agent at the end of the day. So if it was actually wrong, it wouldn't get the reward. So and we go back, as how it works.
yeah. Like reinforcement learning, I remember the fun one for me is actually the college time. Whenever we're given a task, remember, to do the video game, the Kung
Oh,
Fu.
come on, don't tell me I wanted to kill myself.
I was I don't want it to get it right. I mean, like you recorded 20 or 30 seconds. I just laugh as a video. It's so funny.
But the problem, John, was that at that time when we were doing this, ChatGPT was not like in
No,
was not on the picture. So then
no,
we did it from scratch. Now you can ask
yeah,
ChatGPT, okay, give me like the code for your video game, and it will give it to you. Or
yeah,
you can go to DeepSeek and get
yeah,
it.
but not as funny now. You know,
Yeah,
No,
you're right. It's not as funny.
that's
you got a
true. That's
reward
true.
all around. It's doing all sort of stuff. You never expect it. And
Well,
then
but
it's
then
in
we did
fast
it.
forward mode. You know, it's pretty funny.
Yes. Well, what they would say that it was tough or tougher for me was the long exams. Like when we had like 300 questions and then 5 hours doing an exam. Because imagine that what was happening to us is that we needed to run codes. Imagine like the code need to load and you have errors and all the stuff that is happening like in the real life, but in an exam. So as and you even feel the pressure, like, oh my god, like I need to finish this before the exam. The time closes for us.
Yeah.
I wish that ChatGPT was there. That time.
Well, does it really think though? Do you think it really thinks? I mean, I mean, the other day, Chen Chow was saying, I mean, because it's funny to see, but it's like watching a small child, right?
Mm,
As a child is learning to walk and whatever, and it's kind of, or you're learning something new.
mm.
That's basically what it's doing, right? It's learning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's scary. Like I read the paper a little bit as well about the DeepSeek 2 published paper. Like that's why the open source is quite interesting. Like James said, um, a after they apply the reinforcement learning on top of their base model, you can see their thinking whenever the DeepSeek R1 have this I told James aha moment. It says, wait, oh, I haven't considered this. And blah, 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 going down, uh, going back to the front again and destroy everything it output and start from the new idea going down again. That's why sometimes if you give those kind of open-ended question, the thinking is really long. It's going through. You can read it. It's really interesting.
It is. I
Well,
mean, there was an article there, or not an article, a paper that was published by Microsoft and said, are we losing critical thinking skills due to AI?
Yeah.
We're no longer having to think. We let AI think for us.
but this is like exactly the same as the mathematicians before, for example. So before the calculator was there. I don't know if you remember this, like in a school,
I'm
they
not
said,
that
"Oh,
old, Marina.
that
Yeah.
like
I'm not
no,
that old, Marina.
no, 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 no." I know. But I remember when I was in a school, they were teaching me, okay, how to calculate a logarithm, for example, like by hand, and now nobody does it. Nobody does it. I don't even think that people really care about, okay, what is actually behind it. And it is a problem. It is a problem, even though like AI augments the capabilities. So you need really, curious people to move forward and to understand what is happening behind. No.
I think I give an example, right? I think at some level it is we lose some of those. And then the example is I was coding, and then I was using Gen AI to help me to code, and then it made it. It's very complex code going down about I don't know, different Python import and everything, right? So at the end, and I wanted to change this and restructure it. And I tested every single model, OpenAI's Claude, Qi 2.5 coding version, and Gemini,
DeepSeek.
and DeepSeek, even some base model. Well, the API always have issues, right? So didn't try to. And then I find the models doesn't want to change the structure. But for me as a programmer, I see a better way, because a new structure comes in. You have to restructure the whole code for better load or better performance, because adding this additional components into it make it even complex again. You can remove that, rebuild. I don't see that in the models. I try so much, so to a time I give up. I code it myself. So
And then you said, okay, that's it, enough.
yeah,
My
exactly.
critical thinking is gone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is something that will be lost. I mean, I think about, like for example, the Industrial Revolution, where, before the Industrial Revolution, things were made at home. You grew your own food and you had your own. Everything was made by hand, and that's just the way things were. Where then now, Industrial Revolution came in, and machines did all of this. And machines, pick the crops, and machines do this, machines do that. These were mechanical machines. These were not autonomous machines. We're seeing, autonomy here is being taken out, as far as we're automating a lot of different things. So are we now automating thought?
That is totally interesting point. Like we lost a lot of knowledge being a farmer, but we gain a lot of knowledge on something else.
Yeah.
Driving cars
Yes.
and all that. But like the question is, what do we gain from it? We couldn't think about it, right? It's interesting.
That's true. That's true. But if there is something that we learn from history, is that we cannot stop the technology. So then this is what happened in the Industrial Revolution. We couldn't stop the machines. Now we cannot stop it, but we can give a framework to work within the ethical limits. And I really hope that we can actually succeed on that. That is actually the expectation, right?
Yeah, we're not Luddites here, so yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. It was really an interesting topic. Thanks for being here, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in our next episode. Until then, have fun.
Yeah.